You already did it once. 40,000 years ago, you took the most dangerous predator on Earth and turned it into something that sleeps at the foot of your bed. Nobody planned it. Nobody had a strategy. It just happened, slowly, accidentally, over thousands of years of two species figuring out that they needed each other. And it changed everything. The dog didn't just become a pet. It became a tool that amplified what humans could do: hunt better, guard better, move across territory faster, survive things that would have killed us alone. Every major leap in human civilization has had an animal behind it. The horse didn't just carry people. It collapsed distance. It made empires possible. It changed warfare, trade, communication, and the speed at which ideas could travel across continents. The cow didn't just provide food. It provided labor. It pulled the plow that made agriculture scale. That fed cities. That made civilization as we know it structurally possible. The question isn't whether humans will domesticate another animal. The question is which one and what it will do to us when we do. Let's look at what domestication actually requires, because most people think it's about taming. It isn't. Taming is what happens to an individual animal. Domestication is what happens to a species across generations. For a species to be domesticatable, it needs to meet a very specific set of criteria. It needs to be social, living in groups with clear hierarchies that humans can slot into. It needs to have a relatively calm baseline temperament. It needs to be able to breed in captivity. It needs to reach reproductive maturity quickly enough for selective breeding to work within human timescales. And critically, it needs to tolerate proximity to humans without chronic stress. Most animals fail multiple criteria simultaneously. Zebras are famously impossible. They have unpredictable aggression. They panic under restraint in ways that cause serious injury. And they never developed the social hierarchy structure that makes horses manageable. Cheetahs have been kept by humans for thousands of years. Egyptian pharaohs, Mughal emperors, medieval European nobles all kept cheetahs. But cheetahs almost never breed in captivity. The domestication process never started because the reproductive link was never established. But there are candidates, real ones, animals that researchers and farmers and governments are watching closely right now. The first is one most people would not predict: the fox. In 1959, a Soviet geneticist named Dmitry Belyaev began one of the most important experiments in the history of domestication science. He took wild silver foxes and selectively bred them for one trait only: not size, not color, not intelligence, friendliness toward humans. Within 10 generations, something extraordinary happened. The foxes weren't just friendlier, they were physically different. Floppy ears, curled tails, spotted coats, shortened snouts, juvenile features retained into adulthood. They sought out human contact. They responded to human emotional cues. They wagged. They had become something that looked and behaved startlingly like dogs. In under 60 years, the experiment demonstrated something that changed how scientists understand domestication. The behavioral traits and the physical traits are linked. Select for one, and you get the others. Domestication is a biological package, not a menu. Fox domestication is real. It works. The question is whether there is enough economic or practical incentive to pursue it at scale. The second candidate is more surprising: the octopus. This is speculative but serious. Octopuses are extraordinarily intelligent. They solve problems, recognize individual humans, play, show curiosity, and demonstrate personalities that vary between individuals. They are already being studied in captivity for aquaculture purposes. Some researchers believe that with the right selective breeding program over enough generations, you could produce an octopus that is genuinely domesticated, calm in human presence, manageable, potentially useful in ways we cannot fully predict yet. The challenge is that octopuses are solitary. They die after reproducing, and their intelligence may actually work against domestication. They are too good at escaping, too difficult to keep contained, too uninterested in hierarchy. But the intelligence is real, and intelligence is what made dogs useful beyond just companionship. The third candidate is already happening, quietly, in controlled environments around the world. The insect, not one species, a category. Crickets, mealworms, black soldier flies, silkworms. These are already being farmed at scale for protein, for animal feed, for material production. The black soldier fly alone is transforming waste management and sustainable agriculture in ways most people have never heard of. This is not traditional domestication in the way we think of it, but it is the human-animal relationship evolving in real time in response to real pressures. And the species being selected, bred, and optimized are changing as a result. The fourth candidate is the one that makes evolutionary biologists genuinely excited: the crow, or more broadly, corvids. Crows, ravens, jackdaws, rooks. Corvids have the largest brain-to-body ratio of any bird. They use tools, they plan for the future, they recognize individual human faces and remember them for years. They communicate complex information within their social groups. They have been observed holding what appear to be funerals. They play. New Caledonian crows manufacture hooks from materials they have never encountered before to solve novel problems. Not retrieve food from a known location. Manufacture a new tool for a new problem. No primate outside of humans and great apes does this. The domestication of corvids has not happened, probably cannot happen quickly. Their reproductive cycle is slow, their social structure is complex, and their intelligence may make them resistant to the kind of selective breeding that works on less cognitively sophisticated animals. But the relationship between corvids and humans is already ancient and already bidirectional. Ravens followed human hunters for tens of thousands of years because human hunters meant carcasses. Crows have adapted to urban environments with a speed and sophistication that no other wild bird has matched. They are already choosing to live alongside us. What we don't know is whether we are already in the early stages of something. And that is the point that most people miss about domestication. It is never a decision. It is never a plan. It is a relationship that develops over time because both parties benefit. The wolf that first approached a human camp wasn't trying to become a dog. The human who didn't chase it away wasn't trying to invent animal companionship. They were both just doing what made sense in the moment. 40,000 years later, you have a golden retriever that knows when you are sad. The next domestication is probably already beginning somewhere in some relationship between humans and some animal species that currently looks like nothing significant. We won't recognize it until it's done. If you want to know, you know what to do.